Monday is not a fun day, and Tuesday another blues day. Wednesday's getting better.
And that's the first thing you hear today. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back home on Saturday. Cheering. How is it? Hi. You gather around, children. Gather around, everybody. And get your favorite poison because you're my motherfucker for 2 hours. As we continue into the 6th season of the club here with Lucas at RCE 106.9 FM Studios. But I am not alone here. Welcome to RCE and B to the C to the N. For I am being joined by the very, how do we call you? The elusive. He's a badass. This motherfucker's a badass. And I'm going to explain why in a little bit, but this is Mr. Phil Varney, who's representing himself.
Yes.
He doesn't need a fucking agent, you guys. But he's also one of the proud members of the beautiful family there at the Comedy Clubhouse in Barcelona. Of course, there are 2 sections of that as well. We're going to get to that in just a second because they are some of the people that we're going to be doing some beautiful work with over the next few weeks and months, hopefully. So get ready for that. But also, let me look at my notes here because I really rushed in from the city streets. And I don't know why Jesus lets me miss these metros. Can we blame him still?
Absolutely.
You know,
it's one thing we can blame him for.
What? But anyway, we also have, he's another member of the intelligentsia. That's what I really wanted to say. I'm just going to say that, okay? Because later on in the half hour, we're also going to have Lady Nancy, who's another badass. Lady Nancy Goldstein, who's another comic, but she's also an educator and a professor here. And, we're going to be sitting here and keeping the Sabbath holy. Okay. But remember, folks, I want you to follow us with your peepholes because what we're doing, there's been certain algorithm changes with YouTube. So what we're doing, for those of you who's watching us with your eye holes on YouTube and later on, you'll hear a fade out from the music. You might only hear about 7 seconds because we don't need drama from those mofos. In fact, there's actually a report that went out to journalists, so you should all know this. There are algorithm changes and things that are happening in the meta platforms. I don't even pay attention to Twitter, and YouTube. So if you've been finding tractions or odd things or pop-ups or whatever, that's been happening. Also, and we'll talk about this with Mr. Phil over here, with Philly.
That's me.
Okay, wait a minute. If I say that, does that remind you of anything? Yo, Philly.
No.
Okay, do you remember a cartoon called An American Tale? Sorry, children, we'll get together.
I've seen Five Goes West a lot. I didn't catch the first one as much. We only had the second one on VHS as a kid, but that's the one with Jimmy Stewart and I'm blanking on who played the cat.
Jimmy Stewart was in that?
He's the dog.
Was it Wolfman Jack that played the cat?
No, it was oh, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Okay,
oh my god.
We're about to nerd the hell out. But the main character of A Wonderful Series was named Philly, and his best friend always called him Philly, and every time I see that, I want to call you that.
Go for it.
I shall. But you know what, folks? We want you to follow us here at The Club with Lucas on Instagram, as well as The Club W Lucas on TwitX, which is phasing out. So I'm just going to let you know that. But you can also follow us at The Way Shit Works Now at Blue Sky. And catch us here at YouTube and RCE 106.9 FM. And follow the music with your beautiful ears, darling, at rce.cat and 106.9 if you're here in the FM region of Catalonia. But now we got to talk really, really quickly. Okay, before we jump into music, and then to this beautiful man right here who has hair. It's so lucky and lovely to have hair. Because get ready, Barcelona, from October 31st to November 9th, here in our beautiful city, the Barcelona Fringe Festival version 2.0 takes over the city. More than 300 performances. Yes, everybody, you heard that right. 300 performances across 200 venues, from basement clubs to lofts to pop-ups. Barcelona Fringe Festival storms the Diddy, it says. The city with an international audience and aplomb to boot, plus obvi. There's going to be a ton of local voices, everybody. Comedy, theater, cabaret, dance, live in every corner of Barcelona. And again, that's going to be going on for a week and a half, from Halloween all the way through Day of the Dead into the 9th of November. Now, I just obviously have to give a shout out because the HQ is being headed by the beautiful, beautiful folks at the Comedy Clubhouse and Comedy Clubhouse Laitana. And I also want to give a mad shout out to Nikki's Kitchen, also in Laitana, because if you haven't eaten there, you better eat there or get square. I don't think you understand. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful shout out, Nikki Farrow, to this beautiful restaurant that they have going on over there. And also a lot of love to so many people who help out and do so much work at the BCN studio. I want to give a mad shout out there. But also, the Fringe Festival is going to be headed all over the city, as I mentioned, from Gracia to Raval, Eixample to Poblenou. And the stages will be turning into a playground of performance. There's going to be also an opening ceremony. Yeah, we're doing it. I went there on October 31st at the Comedy Clubhouse Laitana. Wear a costume. Why the hell not? What would Jesus do? Now, Barcelona Fringe Festival, get your tickets at barcelonafringefestival.com and follow them and us everywhere at Barcelona Fringe Festival. The club with Lucas and RCE will be throwing all that on Al Gore's interwebs as well. And now we're done. I've got a 2-minute ditty for you before we jump into Mr. Phil Varney, and let's get to some news with him as well. This is Vanessa Williams' little girl. This is Lion Babe with one of her best friends. 11:11 on the clock. I am a star. We'll be right back.
I am a star. 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 I am a star.
It is so true. It is so true. You guys, I am so full. I am so full. That is Whitney Houston from the 2001 BET Awards. But that was Lion Babe, Children of the Corn. Again, Vanessa Williams' daughter. Now, my beautiful brother Phil Varney, I met him about 3 weeks ago. I guess it was 2 or 3 weeks ago at the Kill, Mary, Bang.
Bang, Mary, Kill.
What? Bang, Mary, Kill Fest, which happens every
I think it's every
2
weeks.
Fridays at the Comedy Clubhouse basement
Yeah.
in Carrer Canvinos in downtown Barcelona. Now, it was a string of queens, women, not gays. Don't worry, honey. I'm the only gay in the village. And as okay, we're at the
Yeah.
Michelle Wolf kickoff of the Comedy Clubhouse in Via Laitana. I just got to make a shout out. And Michelle had a little issue with gays, and she has a shout out. There's 250 people there, or 200 people there, and she says, "Where are my gays?" I was the only motherfucker there who was gay.
That's insane.
That's insane.
That is insane.
Now, the only out mofo who was there. Let's just
there
say
we
that.
go.
Okay, let's
There
walk.
we
Let's
go.
talk.
That's it.
But it was weird, and then she didn't do the joke because of that, which was nice of her. But the thing was that there was another person there that gave an interesting performance. He was of the male heterosexual persuasion, and I did not throw up George Carlin's air quotes for those of you who are not watching. And you slayed, my brother.
Thank you.
And I'm not kidding. I have an issue a lot of times with straight white comics.
Yeah.
I want to ask you before we get into anything, because I do want to go through some of the news with you, because I love he took it there, and this motherfucker took it there by stuff. And I'll let you talk about where you went to university as well.
Yeah, sure.
But he goes there, and that's one of the things that I appreciate about people who keep it real, because you gave me a lot of George Carlin vibes.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, in reference to the news,
Yeah.
and I don't want you to talk too much about it if we
That's
don't want
all
to,
good.
but you actually went to the university where Mr. Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
I did, yeah.
And there's an element there where apparently, as you mentioned on the stage, you kind of come from a right-wing, or at least conservative Republican. Christian
Very,
background.
very, yeah, the deepest red.
Can you talk about it, love, please?
Yeah.
Kill you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it is a lot to talk about. I grew up in a city called Pleasant Grove, Utah, in the deepest of the deep red Utah. I was raised Mormon. Had a lot of Mormon experiences. I didn't leave until I was 27, so I did the entire slate of the Mormon to-dos. I was baptized officially. I was a missionary for 2 years.
At 19.
19 to 21, yeah, in Austria and Switzerland and Germany. That was back in 2010 to 2011, which for you musical theater heads out there, I'm sure there's some of them, that was the same time that the Book of Mormon musical came out. And so I had a lot of interesting conversations with people on the street as they were saying, tell us about this book. And at the time, it's really funny because back then Mormonism was trying to take advantage of the wave of publicity that was coming from the Book of Mormon musical. And so they were trying to ride that wave. And so we were encouraged to sort of lean into it. And then there was this
The church encouraged you to lean into it.
absolutely, yeah. There's a whole,
Wow.
you can look it up. Back then there was this thing called the I Am a Mormon campaign. And they,
Okay, I need to record this. Can you please repeat this? Back
Yes.
then?
so back then they tried to lean into, the publicity that was coming from the Book of Mormon musical. And so it's called the I Am a Mormon campaign. And I'm not sure if you can still find it online, but they really went into it. They invested a lot of money into this publicity campaign. And so you had all of these Mormon people, celebrities, regular Joes talking about their lives as normal people and how they are also Mormons. And then when there was a leadership change, the church took a more conservative turn, if you can believe it. And they're like, never mind, the word Mormon, it's bad. And there's plenty of people saying the word Mormon is the new N-word. If you can believe it.
No,
so
that's nuclear. I
yeah,
believe.
exactly. And so it's kind of all come to a head after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which, I mean, this is sort of a B plot to that entire arc, but as the alleged shooter was raised in a Mormon family, that's been the narrative, and so the term Mormon has become ubiquitous again. So despite the church's best efforts to kill it, they haven't been able to successfully do it, which is a nice thing to see.
I guess right after that, you were 21, so you could finally drink legally in our country. And then Mitt Romney, the most famous political Mormon,
Yeah.
was running against Obama for
Absolutely.
the Republican ticket. Was there a sense of pride amongst the community? To nerd out really quickly, was there a sense of pride?
Of course. I was heartbroken when he lost.
I find him a very handsome older gentleman.
Yeah, he's gorgeous. I mean, the devil comes
Just
wrapped
like
in
you
a lot
with
of
that
different
hair,
wrappings.
sir.
We all have the same hair. You go to any sort of a Republican event in Utah. It's so weird. Even the women, all of us, just beautiful silver foxes.
You
It's
know what
wild.
else happens when you go to Republican get-togethers? Grinder crashes.
Grinder crashes. Yeah.
Including at the Charlie Kirk memorial.
In Arizona. Yeah, yeah.
What
no
do
one
you
ever.
think that's about, sir?
I think that I'm a straight white man, so I can't really dive into this, and I understand like why people get tense around the idea of like just dismissing any homophobic language as being repressed homosexuality, but I think from my perspective, when I was younger, as I was developing, I was given no sort of sexual education whatsoever. And so, when you get to your teenage years and you start doing your thing, you
Yep.
start discovering, beautiful little pieces of your existence that weren't there before. And when I found that, I had this really intense, deep shame around it. And my thought was, okay, well, to counteract this shame and this sin that I'm doing, I'm going to become an incredible advocate against it. And so, unfortunately, none of it was recorded, but I taught a lot of like Sunday school classes for like a decade at least. And in time I got to like masturbation, I'd be like, this is the worst thing ever. If you do it, you're going to hell. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, well, as long as I advocate strongly against it, my feelings about jerking off, that'll sort of compensate. And even though I'm a sinner, I know God will be like, okay, well, you did really push against it. And I don't know, every time I see like these people who rail so hard against it, like how Benny Johnson has the
No, you may talk about that homosexual closet case.
Yeah.
We can also talk about Marco Rubio.
Yeah,
we can
the
also
foam
talk
parties.
about Magic Mike Johnson
My God.
over there and his Grinder account, which is flowing through the interwebs on some TikTok sites.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
and Our Lady Lindsay Graham, the patron of it all.
With weird things in his bum.
Yeah, so it's tough because I don't want to. I don't know. It's tricky because I come at this as a straight guy, and so I don't want to come as a straight person and say, well, they're all gay, and then just dismiss it at that. But yeah, I don't know. I think.
No, but I'm backing you up as a gay brother.
Yay! I have your permission.
Yeah, permission. Yeah.
No, I feel like it all goes back. If we go to like the foundations of it all, Americans are so sexually repressed in our education, and
Exactly.
this is one of the consequences of it. If we had a sexually healthy society where we could actually talk about this fucking shit, then stuff like this wouldn't come in downstream. And so I think I think the presence of people like this is just a testament to the idea of, hey, let's be more sexually mature in how we educate our children.
I think you need to understand that excuse me for interrupting.
Of course.
We need to cut the Board of Education, and you are crazy.
Mm.
Actually, well, now everything's been cut because...
Yeah, it's all gone anyway.
Yeah,
so.
the government shut
down, baby.
And I would like to say, since the 90s, this has happened 4 times. Okay, it happened once in 2013 under Republican rule, but Obama was the president at the time because there could not be an agreement. Why? Because he wanted to give rights to them gays, and they had passed the social health care bill, otherwise known as Obamacare, affordable health care. And 3 times now under Trump.
Yeah, yeah.
And this means that for those of you who are not aware, the government of the United States is shut down because they could not agree to a budget. And that means that the Republicans who run the Senate, the Congress, which is our version of the parliament here, and of course the White House, which is Moncloa here in Spain, they couldn't come to an agreement. Now, they run the show, okay? The Democrats don't have enough votes for anything. But they could not convince them to come over. And now I guess the diatribe that is being explained is that the Democrats wanted to give $1 trillion of health care to undocumented immigrants. Now, here's the thing. Unless you are a documented tax-paying ID holder with the working permit, because you have to be working with that taxpayer ID money to get the services, or a citizen, so green card holder with a taxpayer ID and citizen, you are not privy to anything unless it's an emergency and you're bleeding out. That's it. There is no way that an undocumented migrant, no matter how many millions, can get that type of service, which I think is unlawful and is not moral. But whatever, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So it's not true. Now, what had happened was, if it had passed that shite, about 20 million people would have lost their health care. And in November, private mutual insurance, health insurance, would have doubled or tripled, i.e., a family that pays between $9,000 and $12,000 a year for health care insurance, rather, would end up paying between $25,000 and $40,000 a year. And just so everybody knows, I know everyone thinks the people in the United States everyone makes six figures. No, the average home makes just around $80,000, so $40,000 per person, which is roughly about 33,000 euros a year. It's pretty standard And I tell you, a bottle of water in my city, New York, costs $4.99 plus tax. Have fun. It's not 59 cents.
Come on,
Okay?
Zoran, help us fix
I'm
this.
gonna tell you what. But Trump's gonna fix it, y'all.
No.
How do you feel about knowing that people can see this happening, knowing the uncovering of the unveiling rather of the Epstein files and things of that nature? They won't swear in the new Adelita G. Valdez
Out of Arizona,
in Arizona in order to release that. How do you feel about that party that you were born in?
I think it's fueled by ignorance. I think the perfect example of this is what you were just talking about. There's the shutdown happening right now. And for anyone who's interested in this, all you need to do is you need to look at the exact section of the bill that Republicans are putting out there saying, look, Democrats want to give money to illegal immigrants. Just read what these Republicans are posting. Honestly, read that exact sentence and you will see right there that it excludes illegal immigrants. Now, should illegal immigrants be given some sort of support in healthcare? Yeah, I believe that actually. I'm one of those crazy wacko leftists, but that's not what it's saying in the bill. And it just, I think that's the perfect, it's not obviously the only example, but the Republican Party thrives on ignorance. That's why they're trying to cut education spending. They need stupid people in order to fuel their machine because, you know, the 1% has pretty much everything except for the population. So that's what we're up to.
It is, you know, I don't recall if it's Phil Donahue. I want to say it might have been Phil Donahue or Sally Jesse Raphael.
Phil Donahue was the Catholic League guy, right?
I don't remember. He had white hair. He had lots of hair.
Yeah.
Was he Mormon? You know,
I remember, yeah.
Anyway, I just recall that there was a time when Trump would make jokes about running for politicians and political stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that he did say recently that smart people don't like me. And this was very recently in the summer before he had his medical procedure because we know something happened, disappearing for 6 days.
Yeah. He's gone now, too. We haven't seen him since Tuesday.
Well, he said something, didn't he, recently? Yesterday?
I think I haven't tracked anything since Tuesday.
I know that Adam Mockler mentioned something about that he had not been seen since
Adam's
Tuesday.
cool. I like Adam.
Yeah, and he's 23.
Yeah.
Happy birthday,
Yeah,
Adam.
but-
I'm going to tag you and make a shout out just so you say a little peek peek. I'm double your age almost. Oh my God, I feel so young.
You don't
But
look it.
why does this matter? Because the shutdown affects federal agencies. What's interesting is that a lot of people don't know. The night before last, 50 ICE agents stormed a Chicago building from the top, like with helicopters and shit, and stormed and brought everybody out in the middle of the night. People mostly half naked, you know. Citizens, most of them as well. There was a couple handfuls of people they did take, thinking that they were going to find scores and drugs and listening to the CNN report, which is this was very not. It was like they did not get a lot of press at all. But seeing what they're doing, those people are still working. The ICE agents are still working. Military is still working. Traffic air control people in the airports are still working. They're not making their $400,000 right now. TSA agents are still working, and nobody's getting paid. Now, I want to ask anybody who's listening, especially for those in the future listeners, would you keep working if you weren't getting paid? And it is going to stretch in, apparently, according to reports this morning. It's going to stretch in well through next week. If anybody remembers the last one, which happened between holidays of 2018 into 2019.
35 days.
Yep.
I'm flying to D.C. tomorrow.
That's right, man.
Yep. Wish me luck.
You're going to go great. Everything's going to be like fine, you guys. You know what? We're going to throw in a song right now and come back with more chats because, well, I need to make sure that I don't put the wrong song on. Oh, my God, you guys. Because I also want to talk about P. Diddy. Okay. Because they sentenced P. Diddy.
Or 50 months.
Okay, well, we're going to throw this out and then talk about it. They sentenced P. Diddy to 4 years, right? It's gonna, in the end.
Yeah, something
It's
like
just over 4 years. But does that include time served? This is Young Gun, Silver Fox, and West Side Jet. We'll be back in 4 minutes. And there might be another Jewish sister sitting with me today as well. We'll be right back in 4 minutes, everybody.
He's got a spring in his step, fighting on the dance floor. Side, yeah. Strutting out the door, and they will come each day. The time to be afraid. West Side, yeah.
Yeah, my new favorite band of 2025, although they've been around for a decade now, but that's Young Gun and Silver Fox. And my beautiful queer queen. Thank you for being here, Nancy. In
so
serio,
happy to
de
be here
verdad.
with
I've
both
got a
of you.
beautiful king and a queen here sitting next to me.
Yep.
And I mean, we'll segue from what we were talking about because Mijito can give us a few more minutes. What are your opinions on? Well, we'll talk about P Diddy in a second. So, but what are your opinions on this Riyadh Saudi Arabian comedy festival that went on between? It was taking place between the end of September to the early to the 9th of this month. So it's still going on. It's going on right now, and it's including some of the biggest billed lineups like Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Louis C.K., Kevin Hart, Pete Davidson, Andrew Schultz, Aziz Ansari, which ends Chingao Theo, Jim Jeffries, mother effer, Bobby Lee, Jeff Ross, really? Oh, hell no, I didn't know he was alive. Whitney Cummings,
That's under
Jessica Kirson.
Right, but none of my big comedians. Taylor Tomlinson is not there. John Mulaney is not there. Gerard Carmichael is not there.
Mark Maron, David Cross, thank God.
Right, these are
Stav
these are
Halkias.
right. These are actually the people who I listen to and who I look up to and who I find to be the funniest. I'm sorry to hear about Pete Davidson. He should know better, and he makes enough bank not to participate in that bullshit. But I'm not surprised. B, my people aren't there. And Jessica Kirsten is really rolling it back and should. And
She apologizes sincerely.
she apologized. She needs to do more than apologize sincerely. She needs to make a donation in a couple of places and not do it again. But I will say that it is fascinating to me when people decide that their morals precede their career or their financial means. That many of the same people who feel very free to speak up about Israel and Palestine, as well they should, might go ahead and perform in Riyadh. And again, everybody needs to make their own decisions. My decision is that you will not see my ass in Riyadh, in Qatar. There are many, many countries that are, especially Qatar and Abu Dhabi, are trying to wash their filthy hands clean in running the Olympics and the World Cup. And I will not be present for that. And the fact that they reassure those of us who are queer or Jewish or female or of color by saying nobody will harm the performers or athletes
Is a major disclaimer.
This started, my first understanding of it was when I started with Sochi in 2014. And I was like, do you think that my major problem with Sochi is that I am afraid that my view of the figure skaters will be obscured by you roughing up and arresting a queer person? Anyway, back to you, Phil, because I have talked a whole
What did
bunch.
you think about that? Because you said something about this. The Riyadh, that somebody had said something.
Yeah, listen, I think comedy is unfortunately had to be used as a tool for political messaging in the past few decades because our media has been so degraded by private ownership. And so I think it's sad that comedians have had to kind of step in. You see the rise of the Daily Show happening as the Iraq War is starting to take place, and the manufactured consent is saying Iraq War good, and you had this group of comedians who were like, hey, Iraq War bad, because it was, and they were right. History has obviously proven them right, but unfortunately that's only risen more to the fact where, well, we have to get the reality of a situation somewhere, and unfortunately it has to fall on this industry that is a mix of people who are telling it as it is, who make their money, their livelihoods off of correct observations, but also it's mixed in with a bunch of douchebags who are trying to capitalize that, and a bunch of people who just want to make people laugh and don't care about the political side of things, which is what comedy should be. So it's all very sticky and iffy. But as far as the Riyadh thing,
could be. I don't know about should, right? Because we.
And I would like to point out that Kevin Hart and Dave Chappelle care about the political side of things when it comes close enough to them. Everybody does, right? But the sense that they are unaffected, right? Everyone chooses what they're affected by, right?
And I think there's a huge difference between going to a country to promote your act and to tour and to get access to the people, and going there to perform for the aristocracy who is part of the subjugation of people. And so I would love to go to DC to an open mic at the DC Improv. It's a great club. I would never go if Trump invited me to do something at the Kennedy Center. And so I think we need to start thinking more on class lines in a lot of this stuff. But as far as Riyadh goes, you're performing for a dictator at the end of the day. You're whitewashing it, and it just doesn't.
And sir, what did you say Chappelle said on the stage there?
Oh yeah, he's talking about how there's no free speech in America, and it's there's great claims to talk about how that's being taken away. Although I'm sure he's going to talk about some cancel culture bullshit. But I mean, if we're going to talk about Saudi Arabia, I mean, just what? They don't have free speech either. Why are we being selective about this? It's infuriating.
And meanwhile, and I'm going to throw another piece of news out right now. As of yesterday, there is a major headline going out that Disney and other U.S. tech companies are facing major lawsuits over the data collection practices, violations affecting children that they've been causing, not just there, abroad as well. Because there are countries like France, Australia, that are, unless you're 16, you cannot have apps on your social media. They're tracking that now. There are stipulations that Sanchez wants to pass by 2026 or in 2026 that would state the same for you have to be 16 plus to be using certain social media apps. I don't know if people know this, but in China, their version of whatever the hell we use here allows you 40 minutes before it shuts down for 24 hours. Their Instagram, their TikTok, you get 40 minutes a day and then it shuts the hell down. While we zombify our children to up to 8 hours standard a day on these apps.
And have very tricky ideas about where the government should stay out of your life and where it needs to intervene.
Yeah, that's all pretty complex.
Right? Like
Yeah.
free to own a gun, not free to be a transgender teacher in the classroom where the gunman enters.
Yeah.
And it is a gunman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of gun women out there.
Right.
Exactly. 91. Now the stats are out. And the Republicans didn't want you to know, but 91% of all of these murders are done by men. 61% or nearly 61% are white Anglo-Saxon males, Catholic or Protestant. And I want to say, why don't women kill? Why can't it be 50-50?
Well, and please tell me how many of these mass shooters are transgender, because I really want to know, because they appear
It
to be
is-
the most dangerous people.
It is
Well, I mean-
0.01%, madam.
Oh dear, dear. Maybe our priorities and our emphasis and,
I mean,
Phil?
we can talk to the discussion Charlie Kirk was having before he was assassinated. I mean, I think it is apt. I don't want to negate how horrible it was that there was a political assassination, and obviously he didn't deserve to die, but he died in an argument about gun violence, and just seconds before it happened was dismissing. And I think the question was, how many of these shooters are transgender? And his answer to that was too many. That's ridiculous. Like,
right.
Like-
Look,
When
nobody
he's the profile.
nobody supports assassination.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like no one quote deserves to die. Okay, there are people I wouldn't miss, but I'm not actively contributing.
I'd miss
to
them all. I have terrible aim.
Right. But
yeah.
Charlie Kirk died in a world that Charlie Kirk created, and which is a line that I got from someone else, by the way. That is not my nifty little saying, but
can't
but
stop. I love
but but I will say that the fact that like Jimmy. Is it Jimmy Kimmel?
Jimmy Kimmel, one of the Jimmys.
The Fallons.
Yeah.
The fact is that the Trump administration lives looking for excuses to seize power. The end game here has always been martial law. The end game here has always been martial law. And whether it's that you claim that there's violence in Los Angeles or you claim that Jimmy Kimmel said something, you have a list of the people, of the things that you want. And
Yeah,
you just
and
look for
they're-
any opportunity to take it.
And there's been people screaming about this for years, rightly so, where they've been talking about how disingenuous the right has been saying about being like, what are you talking about? We love free speech, all that stuff. They are right at the cusp right now. They're so close to saying like, oh yeah, we're fascists and we rule. They just so Trump has finally officially brought in the Project 2025 guy after lying about it for years and years, saying, I don't know who that is. I've never read Project 2025. Well, this guy's just been brought in. He was the star of Trump's latest AI video deluge. And so now it's clear they will deny until they have the power to not deny it anymore, and then they will be open about it, which is why, shout out to Mehdi Hassan, I think the greatest journalist alive on earth. Mehdi Hassan, Zateo, greatest journalist alive right now. I really
Wonderful.
hope to enjoy his punditry in a post-Trump world, but he said it on his Jubilee debate. He said it over and over. He will not debate with fascists. He won't even touch them because these are people who use the good faith of a democratic liberal society to destroy it. And so anyone who comes in there as a fascist should automatically be excised, removed out of the sphere because they don't get to be in the club because they're trying to openly destroy
Damn
it.
right, man.
And so, yeah, it's
MSNBC, you done screwed up with that. With there's so many people.
Yeah,
Tiffany
yeah.
Cross, Joy Reid.
Yeah, Joy
Mehdi
Reid
Hassan,
is
and don't just look at what I'm talking about. The three people of color we're talking about. All I'm
Yep.
saying is what I'm saying. All right.
Phil. You are a delight. You are. It's just So I just want to say that Phil and I know each other through comedy, where he's fucking hilarious. But
Thank you.
this is not what we talk about on stage. And my discovery that he's so thoughtful, so nuanced, and so experienced means that I will be nerding out with you on many future occasions.
Let's go. A huge part of my comedy is the contrast of having been Republican and been raised in that sphere to now being on the opposite side of it politically, and the contrast is that is where I pull a lot of my comedy at. But I was, one of my first jobs was ever lobbying the Utah State Legislature. My mom was incredibly involved in local politics in Utah, which is obviously very right wing. My first political memory was Bill Clinton had an affair with a young woman, and that's why he's not allowed to be president anymore. I mean, that was the thing in my brain, which is like, okay, so a president, if they have sex with someone who's not their wife, then they can't be president anymore. Granted,
If they're a Democrat.
If only. If only. Yeah, right.
yeah, and the conversations I had with my parents when the Access Hollywood video came out is like when I truly started having the nihilistic, doomeristic version of this society. It was like, oh, we truly don't believe in anything. We don't believe in anything.
Is that when you switched?
No, it was kind of a slow burn. There was a play called Inherit the Wind that I was in high school. Do you know it?
Wonderful movie. And
Yeah, it's Spencer
script as
Tracy.
well,
Yeah,
right?
it's Gene Kelly. It's a beautiful.
Isn't that the one about the scope trials?
Skull Monkey Trials. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Beautiful, beautiful show, and it really helped me open my mind to the idea that if someone is different than me or disagrees with me, they're not inherently bad, and they might actually have something to share with me. So I kind of did this slow burn, and then when I was 27, there was an incident within the Mormon Church that was, long story short, pedophilia, cover up, subsidization, and protection of the pedophiles, and I was
a theme runs amongst the conservatives.
yeah.
yet
So
again.
I jumped out there, took the first job offer I could out of the States, which happened to be in Prague at the time, and that's actually where I started comedy. So
It's interesting. I was raised extreme right as well.
Really?
yeah, 'cause you're Texas, right?
Extreme
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Because I started in Country Club, Texas, and my mother was very much involved in the Republican community because she was a gorgeous Latina Mexicana who could attract more people into the fold, specifically, especially during the Reagan and Bush years. And so
I am always shocked when Jews are right. I'm always shocked.
That discovery was again later.
Let me tell you about this
in
country.
life.
No, I mean, what I say about where I grew up. So I grew up
Or
with
Latinos
Arlen
who are right.
Specter as my senator, right?
Okay,
I
yeah.
grew up in the northeast suburbs of Philadelphia. And what I always say is that in 1972, I was the only kid in sixth grade voting for McGovern, and that I knew Republican Jews back then. They did not used to be a thing. Right? They did not used to be a thing. And I'm still always shocked.
Very, very similar with the Latino and Black community.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
during Reagan, the Latinos started because he, if you remember, he put like 6 million he made citizens and permanent residents before citizens. So there was that. But because of my older siblings, by the time the 90s rolled around and I was 10, I just, these people are motherfucking crazy. My mom and dad are nuts, and Clinton's cool. And so I changed at a very young age, at 10. So when I hear someone that I started a podcast recently, he came about into the fold of the centrist leftist beliefs, progressive beliefs, let's say, in his 30s as well, in his 20s, 30s. And so it's always interesting for me to see people who stay. How do you explain that? Why does this happen? It's so obvious.
Change is uncomfortable. It requires a lot of sacrifice, and it requires you to leave what's comfortable. Confirmation bias is an incredibly comfortable blanket to wrap yourself in, and when you take the blanket off, it's cold. It's tough. It is. But
And the religiosity. There is I really have an issue with Christian nationalism, specifically white Christian nationalism.
Really?
hot take.
Hot take. Uh-oh.
But
You can get yourself canceled, Lucas.
it's actually because people act like it's something that's new, and it's fucking infuriating because I lived it as a little boy in the 80s.
Wasn't there a thing called the Crusades and then the Inquisition?
Hello.
There's an excellent podcast right now called I've Had It podcast. Have you heard Jennifer
You mean
Welch?
Jennifer Welch and
The
Pumps?
Queen. I
Okay.
love that.
I would
love
just like to
them.
say,
I
since
love them.
2023, we have been talking about those heifers on this
My
show.
God.
'Cause I
Wow,
love
I'd
these
never
girls.
even heard of.
Dude, you're gonna
We'll get you to the
Yeah.
iHip news.
We're gonna get you
I
on
think
board.
that's something important that we're doing here is talking to people about where we get our truth from, right? Like
Yeah,
where do
yeah.
we get our news from? And I think that it's
iHip
important to
news as
shout
well.
out the
Amazing.
people. I want to add to your list that
Please.
right along with Hassan. That it was. Did you say Mehdi Hassan? Was
Mehdi
it-
Hassan, yeah.
is your guy?
Zateo.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
his
yeah. Right
program.
along there with him was Rachel Maddow.
Yeah,
Oh,
of course.
Right,
Please, Lord,
Joyanne
yes.
Reid, M. Gesson, who grew up queer and Jewish in
Masha
Russia,
Geshen.
came to
Oh.
the M now. They're non-binary and they're
Love
going
it.
by M. But and then
book's really good.
came to the U.S.
Very.
and then so there have been people. Heather Cox Richardson.
Yes, Lord.
So Heather Cox Richardson, if you don't know, has a Substack, and you can get her email every single day for free. And that is, I subscribe to 5 different newspapers, but Heather Cox Richardson is where I get my truth from. When she is a historian at Boston College, and nobody contextualizes the news better than she does, for my money.
I'll look
Not
her
in
up.
terms of what else is going on in the world right now, and not in terms of what it has meant historically. And she includes footnotes. So if you're trying to teach your kid or your partner about checking their facts, this is one of the things that people who have valid sources do. They give them to you so you can make a decision about whether this is an opinion worth listening to and whether it's fact-based.
Ground News as well.
Yeah.
I would like to give a shout out to them as well, because Ground News, you can
Very
do it
helpful.
for free, or you can subscribe and pay a little bit as well. And they lay it all out for you and show you what centrist, right wing, or left wing, excuse me, has nothing to do with the coffee that I'm drinking,
Yeah.
repeating itself, is where it's coming from. And so it's interesting to see how that, who's being skewed in that realm. I would like to shout out some of the YouTube youngsters, like Jack Cacciaroli. I'm sorry, Jack, I can't remember how to say your name properly. What would Jesus do?
He sounds
He was a
edible.
Jew too. Let's see. Adam Mockler. Who's the cutie? Keith Edwards. The only gay. We're the only gays, Keith. And if you're ever in Barcelona, I'm taking you out, homie. And then, of course, there's the Midas Touch folk. You know.
Yeah, they're
Wow,
exploding.
I
right
have to
now.
write down some of these names. I have to say, you're talking about people I mean, I'm barely keeping up as it is. When I say I'm subscribed to 5 different newspapers, it means like I open Haaretz once a week. I want to say that I think I would love to see more people reading Haaretz. Haaretz is the progressive newspaper of Israel, and on the day after October 7th, their leading opinion piece was about the fact that this was all Netanyahu's fault, which it is.
With
Yeah,
the funding
they're-
of money directly into Hamas.
Well,
Their
and
piece
with
on the
the
Hannibal
expla-
Directive,
with
too,
the
yeah.
explanation of the peanut butter and jelly relationship between Netanyahu and Hamas. So they have been speaking truth to the power forever. And I
Yeah,
think it's
good on
important
them.
not only for people to read their perspective,
So
but to
Haaretz.
know that there are Jews who have always been on top of this, and to stop confusing our culture with the government of Israel.
Thank you, because this actually has come up 3 times this past week in 2
Yes.
business sessions and a university session.
Yeah.
And it was annoying and tiring.
Well, and
There
to that
is-
point, what helped me, the white, Mormon straight boy, and understanding the nuances of that was actually an Intelligence Squared debate with Mehdi Hassan, which is where I was introduced to him. If you're familiar with Intelligence Squared, their debate series, they don't do it as much anymore, but it was a debate series where they would start with a thesis statement, and then there'd be one side arguing for, one side arguing against. And this one specifically is Intelligence Squared, anti-Semitism is the same as anti-Zionism, or something to that effect. People arguing against the motion or against the idea that those are the same thing were Mehdi Hassan, and then also Ilhan Pape, who's an Israeli journalist, very progressive anti-Zionist. His book is incredible as well. That is what helped me understand. And so I give it to anyone from my ilk and in my background who maybe, don't quite understand, who still see Israel as like the outcome of the Holocaust. So it's a good thing that we have it like that, because that can come from a good place. You see Israel as what these oppressed people were given. That debate specifically, it's very digestible. It's not as difficult as an entire book to read. Very, very like aimed at the layman like me. 100% recommend. It is a fantastic way to get into this discussion.
And I just want to say, as a classic New York City pork-eating, shik-sedating Jew,
You eat pork? You're
Yeah.
just disappointed.
yeah,
of course I do. Pork and shellfish, you don't
yummy.
know what you're missing.
especially
It makes me
here,
gross.
especially
Yeah,
here.
especially here. But I will say that, so what I was saying to some of the tribe recently is that there's no topic about which people know less or speak up more than the situation in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And this tendency to think, for example, that anybody gave Jews that piece of land, right? I heard this when I was in London, and someone was like, "Oh yes, they gave Jews
Land for
Israel." And I'm
people with
like,
people out of land
I'm like,
thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
the only piece of land in the Middle East with no oil under it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And people already on it. And by the way, if
Kicked
you
out
dig-
by 800,000 of them.
and if you dig underneath, that's our archaeological stuff
Mm-hmm.
under there. So square that with how you feel about whether America belongs to Native Americans. And
Amen, sister.
and by the way, and then the British, who simply wanted to get rid of us, to get
And the French.
and the French, all of them.
Yeah,
Like
the Balfour Declaration.
the
Balfour
sti-
was
the
anti-Semitic.
statistic
Yeah.
I didn't
Justified.
hear
Yeah.
until
Right.
last week. We always hear that 6 million Jews perished in the Holocaust, but what I did not hear until last week was that it was 2 out of 3 every fucking Jews in the world. 2 out of 3 of us, right? And so the British are like, we want your sad asses out of our faces. We're going to put you on this piece of land. There's already people living there who've made their lives there for centuries. Work it out. So I just want to say that there is no single piece of literature or single voice to listen to on what is
Yes.
happening in the Middle
Yes.
East. And
Yeah.
every person who has, and they are always non-Jewish, who hands me one fucking piece of literature or wants me to watch one fucking YouTube because some Jew explained something that they think should be my belief, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, go do your reading. Go
No,
do your research.
this is one thing I've learned as well is like a media diet is that it's a diet, and a healthy diet is diverse. You have many different things coming
Right.
in, and
Right.
anything Fox News
Like
and
that.
right wing is heroin.
Right.
Right. So like avoid that, but like you have to have a healthy diversity of opinion to help you understand.
And
the,
I think
the
that being an
complexity of it.
American is part of this for me. People don't understand how diverse our lives are. Look, my favorite relative is one of the people heading up UNRWA in Jordan.
Wow.
The United Nations Palestinian Refugee Organization. That is where the money from the Stonewall benefits that I went.
Beautiful.
That I did went, right? That's my fucking cousin. That's my
Awesome.
blood.
That's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and so to think that there's anything simple about this discussion, what is anti-Semitic is not people's criticism of Israel. It is their failure to understand the key role that Hamas and Qatar play in this. If I had my way, Charlie Kirk, Hamas, and Netanyahu would all be in hell together.
Yeah.
Well, they might be soon, actually. I'm just saying, because I don't know if anyone's listening to some of these weird conspiracy theories floating about Charlie Kirk and
Who killed him?
yes. But anyway, but wait a minute, because we're running out of time, and we got to zoom into somebody. And I want you folks to please, because we've got the Barcelona Fringe Festival coming up. Again, I'm going to say you can get all your tickets information. We're going to be promoting that through here as well, the Club with Lucas and RCE, but at barcelonafringefestival.com. You can also go to the Comedy Clubhouse website and get all of this information as well. But is there anything that you would like to say that you're going to be performing, doing, or anything in the next few weeks, please?
Yeah, I want to say that on Friday, October 10th, the astounding Iris Permue and the BCN Studio for Lesbian Visibility Day
Hell yeah.
are doing part 2 of Gaiety. All bona fide, certified, pussy-eating comedians
Yay!
performing in Castellano and in English. And it sold out last time. We sold
be an
out the
Olympics board.
70-person BCN studio, so please,
Awesome.
please come. And you can find anything that I'm watching at my Instagram, Nancy G NYC. You know, and you can always see what I'm up to and what I'm looking at. And I just want to give a shout out to Luke McGinsky, who runs Rapscallions. His Fringe thing is going to be November 3rd. I hesitate to mention anyone if I'm not going to mention everyone, but I just have to say I was on Rapscallions last night and I was reminded that a great host, you know, Phil knows this, he's a great host, but Luke brings the fun. And November 3rd, Rapscallions is where I'm going to be come hell or high water. I hope that you'll come join me in supporting Luke. He is a gem.
Absolutely.
There you go. And also, sir, Phil, you doing anything, man?
Yes. So I'm part of the Roast Battle team. That's the show that I host. Roast Battle Barcelona. Follow us on Instagram, Roast Battle Barcelona. Our next show is October 16th. We're in the semifinals of our tournament, which is amazing. It's our third one we've done annually. Best one we have had so far. It's absolutely killer. We have some great comedians in this town.
I just want to say you can always find me at Roast Battle. I will not participate in Roast Battle because if you grew up looking like me, you would understand that you come pre-roasted, right?
We'll get you on there. We will
It's a
get you on
documentary
there.
for me. I'm
I
not
will
no
get you
way,
on
but
there.
I watch it and it is brilliant.
But we just had a mix up with a couple of our dates. So the 16th is our next one. We don't have the Fringe dates finalized yet, but
Okay.
follow us on Instagram to get it. It's been such an amazing show. Shout out to James Regal, who I know you've had on here.
Hey, man, that's my boy.
We got Ollie Bustle as well. Gifty Jones, our tech guy. We've got such a great team.
I did not know that Ollie Bustle was such a mean girl. I mean, I always knew
He's
that
a
he was
bitch.
brilliant, but
He's a
he's a
disgusting
beast.
Is that okay that we're
whore.
calling him that?
Yes.
You love him, right?
Yes, we
No.
adore him.
Oh, no.
I love him.
Also,
He's a-
we have to get going, my loves, and we're going
Okay.
to play one song, but Happy birthday, Hannah Becker. Also, at the
Happy
Comedy
birthday,
Black House.
Hannah,
birthday,
fellow
Hannah.
Libran.
Phil is on his way. He's getting
coming
on the bus
right now. I'm
He's
going to the
getting on
bus.
right now. And we're going to skedaddle with a song that you picked out. It's called As We
Yes.
Stumble Along from the Drowsy Chaperone. Okay, Jefes está bien. La próxima canción. And we will be back in just a little bit with Gonzalez and Spain family. Shutting up from Valencia. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Prince Festival. Look it up.
Into the blue. We look here and we look there, seeking answers anywhere, never sure of where to turn or what to do. Still we bumble our way.